The thing I find curious is they returned ours, but they're not returning theirs.
Idaho law enforcement seizing another shipment of hemp. The big difference this time, it is returned to the sender. Welcome to CBS 2 News at 10 o'clock. I'm Brian Moore. So Boise police recently made a hemp bust, but unlike Idaho State Police in another recent case, the Boise Police Department ended up giving the hemp back. Now, in a story that you will only see here on CBS 2 News, CBS 2's Natalie Hirsch, she's been investigating this latest case and uncovers why two agencies had two different responses.
So, Brian, here's the deal. Simply put, how Idaho views hemp compared to most of the nation is rather different. The Farm Bill made hemp a legal commodity back in 2018. It's a legal agricultural commodity if it's less than 0.3% THC. Meanwhile, Idaho considers any amount of THC illegal. So that makes it very complicated for law enforcement and growers in neighboring Oregon if hemp passes through the state of Idaho.
So they've got different strains in here and they'll pollinate these.
Jim Hutchins is part grower, part scientist, and part businessman. The former law enforcement officer turned CEO and president of Ontario-based Treasure Valley Extraction is now growing a 7-digit business.
It's a rocket ship right now. We make CBD products, which are a health benefit. There's no psychoactive ability.
But back in May, his product came to a halt. You're looking at evidence photos after Boise police seized 69 pounds of his company's hemp. 7 orders and 17 boxes shipped from Oregon on behalf of a client to 5 states where hemp is legal.
We shipped it on a federal air carrier out of Ontario, so we just didn't think that the Boise PD would intercept it.
The problem began when the hemp reached here, the UPS distribution facility on Orchard Street in Boise. According to the police report CBS 2 obtained, the police officer noted all 17 boxes had certificates of analysis from Portland-based Chem History indicating hemp. But in the report, the officer said their certificates were sideways and the content smelled just like marijuana. And with no field testing in place, the officer had all 17 boxes seized and taken to the Ada County Property and Evidence Facility.
We were concerned about how it was being stored because mold and mildew is a real problem with plant material.
Police records obtained by CBS 2 show Boise police ordered Idaho State Police Forensic Services test 1,800 grams of the material from one box. After it was sent to a Kentucky laboratory for testing, the final paperwork concluded it was marijuana or the resins thereof, although no THC level was determined, according to the police report. With the hemp shipment beginning and ending in states where the product is legal and with no intent of it being distributed in Idaho, the officer's report said law enforcement returned all 17 boxes of the hemp. In a statement to CBS 2, a spokesperson for BPD declined further interview and said, as this is a legislative issue and one that is currently being worked on, the chief cannot provide his opinion on the matter. For Hutchins, it's now back to business, and he's not mad.
I don't blame him for intercepting it.
The seized hemp had not molded during the 6 weeks he says it was held by police, and all 7 orders were shipped to their ultimate destinations.
This was a little test plot.
But a valuable lesson was learned. Don't ever ship through a state where hemp is still considered illegal.
Basically, I want people to understand the separation between hemp and marijuana. They're 2 completely different plants, even though they look alike and they smell alike. They do different things.
All right, so how does this case compare to another recent seizure? Remember this image? Well, you'll recall in January, Idaho police stopped a truck along I-84. It was carrying thousands of pounds of hemp from Montana-based Big Sky Scientific. We'll take a look at this video. Remember this image. The driver, Dennis Palamarchuk, was traveling from Oregon to Colorado and passing through Idaho. As of this evening, charges against Palamarchuk are pending. Big Sky, meantime, sued several agencies asking for the return of the confiscated hemp. But here's the deal, the court denied that. Now, if you take a look at this right here, you'll see that there's a copy of the court's ruling involving all of this. And here's what they said. The court found that ISP did act correctly in seizing the hemp because it didn't qualify for protections under the Farm Bill, saying that interstate commerce is not yet legal because the rules to support the 2018 Farm Bill have not yet been published. In fact, take a look at this statement. After this ruling, ISP Director Kedrick Wills And the Ada County prosecutor, Jan Penitz, told the media the 2018 Farm Bill's intent of allowing the interstate transportation of hemp will only be realized once there is a regulatory system in place. As of this date, that system has not been developed in any state, including Idaho, and is therefore not currently in effect. As a consequence, hemp is not legal in Idaho.
Well, that is a lot to digest.
Yes.
We have two police agencies dealing with hemp, dealing with it differently. We've got the court involved making an opinion as well. What does this mean for the cases moving forward?
That's the million-dollar question here. So far, the attorneys for Big Sky are asking the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to weigh in. Now, as of last week, that circuit court has said that they've questioned if the feds should even weigh in on what they think is indeed a state issue. So where does that leave us right now? You'll recall Idaho had 2 failed bills in the state legislature addressing hemp. So tomorrow we're going to hear from local lawmakers about why those bills failed and whether the issue should be addressed in the upcoming legislative session. And we're going to further break down these questions about releasing hemp or keeping hemp. It's a story we'll have tomorrow exclusively on CBS 2.